Today is Thursday, so we talk about success for Scrum Masters. We've been sharing success stories here on the podcast since 2015, so there's a lot to learn. But wouldn't you like to learn from people with decades of experience? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. The Scrum Master Toolbox podcast launched Tips from the Trenches, the Scrum Master edition audiobook. That's version 2 now out. There are 13 audio interviews, 3 hours of audio with Scrum Masters that have decades of experience. We've got Mike Cohn, Linda Rising, Lisa Crispin, Christopher Avery, Emily Weber, myself, your podcast host, Yves Hanul, the editor of the original Tips from the Trenches ebook, also available with the audiobook. Altogether, 13 super experienced Scrum Masters. To learn more, visit bit.ly/audiotips2. That's bit.ly/AUDIOTIPS and the numeral 2 at the end, all lowercase, all one word. So one more time, that's bit.ly/audiotips2 to learn more. And now, on to today's show. Hello everybody, welcome to our Success Thursday, this week with Lakshmi Ramaseshan. Hi Lakshmi, welcome back.
Hi Vasco, it's great to be here.
Absolutely, and today to talk about your favorite topic, right? Retrospectives.
Yes, I love retrospectives.
So let's dive right into it. So what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Yeah, so I am passionate about retrospectives. I feel like if there is one thing, one team event that you absolutely need to do is retrospectives. And if you did retrospectives well, then you would uncover all of the things that are in the team's way, right, over time. And that team would just get into a better performing state. So for me, my favorite one, it's hard to pick because I love this so much, is Circles and Soup. It was introduced by Diana Larson, and it's covered in the Agile Retrospectives book that she wrote with Esther Derby. And I really love this technique because oftentimes teams get into the state where there is a blame game, there is a sense of hopelessness. Maybe the team is not taking any action on the action items that come up in retrospectives. And they're really not able to understand how to move forward, right? So this technique called Circles and Soup helps the team really see what are within the team's control, right? So there's 3 circles. The inner circle is what the team can control. So what the team can directly do something about without anybody else's input. The middle circle is what the team influences. So the team might still be able to take some actions to change things, but they might need to collaborate with another team or maybe with their manager or with the business teams or some other team within the organization to really solve that problem. And then the outer circle is referred to as the soup, which is really the things we cannot change. Right? So what I really love about this is it really provides a different perspective for a team, and it gives them a lot of hope because teams that are in the state of, kind of blame game, they're feeling down about things not actually working on their team. This really helps them understand, they can actually control a lot of things. And they can start working on the things that are within their control and help create a better environment. And they can figure out who they can partner with to work on the things that they can influence, right? So it just creates more awareness within the team, which I really love.
Absolutely. And for me, one of the other aspects that is important is that it doesn't eliminate, but it severely reduces the possibility of the team being frustrated and disappointed when nothing changes after the retrospectives, right? Because that for me is one of the biggest risks. Like, of course, it's hard to get people into the retrospectives, but if you get them into the retro and then nothing changes, that's like, shooting ourselves in the foot.
Exactly. And we have a team in an organization that does retrospectives only every 3 months. So that's just, it's heartbreaking to me, right? And this is a team that is moving from a more reactive state, from a production support sort of model into more of a product development model soon. So one of the things we've been educating them on is it's important to reflect on a frequent basis, right? And you need to determine what that frequency is for you. It may be 2 weeks, it may be 3 weeks, but 3 months is too long, right? And I realized the reason why the team was resistant to having retrospectives is exactly what you said, Vasco, is nothing would happen as a result of that discussion, right? And then the other reason that nothing would happen is we hadn't actually taken the time to understand that the things holding the team back were actually out of their control. So this is why nothing happened. So the team felt hopeless because nothing came out of the discussions. They're like, what is the value of having retrospectives? Because nothing seems to be getting better. So when we used this technique, it really helped the leader on the team understand that, oh, this is actually something I need to do something about. I need to work with the director, or I need to work with the business teams and figure out how I can remove some of these impediments for the team, because the team is doing everything in their power, right? So it was just really powerful. And everyone got so excited when we visualized that, because then the team felt like they were doing what they could to make the environment better for themselves. But now it raised awareness to their leadership team to say, well, if we want this team to succeed, we really need to help them.
Absolutely. That's a great story as well. All right, next we turn our attention to what success means for us, the Scrum Master. So share with us, Lakshmi, what's your definition of a successful outcome for the Scrum Master's job?
Yeah, I always say that a successful Scrum Master works themselves out of a job, right? Because I think if you're successful at what you do, and if you coach the teams in the right direction and help them really understand the value of working as a team, then you really focus on creating more safety, and you focus on the team openly collaborating and communicating, right? So for me, when I see some shifts happening in stand-ups where teams are highlighting what they're working on, but they're also asking for help where they need to ask, where they're stuck. They're also sharing some of the learnings that they discovered when they were working on a certain piece of code. That just tells me now they're willing to have those open conversations. And I love when teams also, not only just share all of this, but also say, oh, I had a huge setback yesterday, and I would love for someone to work with me to see if there's a better way to solve this problem, right? That means that there's enough safety in the team to have that conversation and not feel judged. I feel like that's a really good sign. The second thing is retros, which is my favorite topic. I think when teams start to be more open about what's in their way, and really instead of focusing on who's doing what, they actually focus on the facts and the things that are holding them back. It makes the conversations really constructive. And if you're at the receiving end and you maybe contributed to this problem, it helps you not get into that state of thinking of things personally, right? So it really promotes healthy conversations within the team, which is what is important for the team to get to that high-performing state. And then another sign that I've seen is oftentimes team members that are still adjusting to this new way of working as a team get kind of lazy in communication, and they start to I see some patterns sometimes of passive aggressiveness where they actually don't want to engage in a conversation, but they're willing to send asynchronous feedback and really long responses, but they're not willing to have the conversation when it's happening, right? So when that shift happens, where you see some of those team members actually saying, yeah, I'm willing to give you my viewpoints because I actually want to engage with you and hear your thoughts on my viewpoints, versus just pushing the message to the team, which is what the other behavior is. I feel like all of those shifts mean that the right things are happening within the team, and that the team is working on building a more safe environment, which I think is the beginning of high-performing teams.
Absolutely. And for me, the topic you mentioned about them feeling safe to talk about difficult topics and openly in the retrospectives, definitely I think that's a high point in the Scrum Masters work, when the team is able to have those conversations, even, without much facilitation. They just know what they need to talk about, and they know they can talk about it safely in that retrospective ceremony. So definitely like that as a sign of success for our work.
Yeah. And, I think there's one team in my organization that comes to mind that really loved when we introduced lean coffees as a way to do retrospectives, because they were getting tired of trying to find a new technique, right? And I reiterated to them that it's ultimately not really about the technique. You could use the same technique every time, but if you have the safety within the team, it doesn't matter what technique you use, because the conversations will emerge, right? So that really changed it for them. So now this Scrum Master, this lead on the team, doesn't waste any time looking at techniques. I mean, every now and then they pull something in that's creative and to open up more conversation, but most of their retros are lean coffee style, because everybody is willing to engage. And that means that now we've really created that environment in the team where they're like, oh yeah, we have feedback. Here's what we can do better, and here's what we want to celebrate. So it's amazing to see that shift when it happens.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Lakshmi.
You're welcome. This is really fun.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.